It's our nation's birthday, the 250th
250th.
anniversary. And what better way to celebrate the birth of a nation than by watching the destruction of a nation, fictional style? Uh, Welcome to the Oktoberfest podcast. I am Jeff, your host and ambassador of Alien Annihilation. And this episode, we are going to talk about the 1995 Roland Emmerich joint, Independence Day, starring Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman and a cast of many talented actors and one real piece of shit. With me, as always, my co-host, John.
Hello. By the way, it's actually 1996, not 95, because
That's
we were
okay.
celebrating the 30th anniversary.
Thank you for correcting me on that one. And Heidi,
Hey.
for fuck's sake. We're going to get more out of Heidi in just a minute. This was all her idea. We were trying to drum up what movie to do here, and Heidi presented us with a gem of a concept here.
Yeah, we're coming up on 4th of July, and I wasn't sure if this would be too cliche for Jeffrey for a pick, but, I'm not feeling very patriotic this year, given the shit show that's happening in our country. And so I love the 4th of July. Like, do not underestimate my love for hot dogs and fireworks. Like, I'm there for it. But this year it's not hitting. And so I was thinking, like, back to better times. Better 4th of July is like, when Bill Pullman was president. It was a good day.
It
was a good era.
One of the best presidential speeches, ever, and all the speechwriters were dead. So that was really off the cuff. This movie, I can't remember the last time I actually sat and watched through it. It's still a pretty good time, even if it's more than half dumb.
I feel like it's just good to go ahead and have the mildly competent president, even though there's a lot of scientific or logical flaws in the movie.
Hey, there's less logical flaws than we have in the office right now.
This may be truth.
It is still fun, though. It is a fun action film that has, quippy characters, mostly decent actors, and is, entertaining.
Well, let's run this thing down. I mean, most of the audience probably knows Independence Day, but who knows who remembers it. When aliens show up to take over the Earth, it's up to Dr. Ian Malcolm, a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the best president on film, Bill Pullman, to stop them, save the world, and officiate weddings. We got stuff here.
Don't forget about a very drunk Randy Quaid.
So Randy Quaid.
Yes, precisely.
Nailed it.
Wow.
Movie plot's pretty simple. Aliens show up. For some reason, they shake the moon, even though there's no atmosphere up there. Physics point. They somehow need to send a signal through our satellites because they don't have a way to tell time without constant updates to each other. They blow up all of the world's landmarks in alphabetical order or something, killing lots of people, and the body count is never mentioned. The important people, of course, all survive and somehow make it to the same place in Nevada, Area 51, where they find out that Data from Star Trek has been studying these things for 30 years and still doesn't know a whole lot about them. But somehow they fixed a spaceship enough to fly it up into the mothership, give it a virus using programming language that they couldn't possibly know or interface with, and then none of that matters because they launch a nuke into the damn thing and save the day that way anyhow. This movie's bananas. This movie is nuts. I mean, we're not going to do a full story time on this one because we don't really need to. I feel like everybody's kind of seen this after 30 years. But we're going to cover probably quite a few of the plot points here. This was a huge summer blockbuster in 1996. I remember the advertising as a kid, Independence Day weekend, ID4, all the boomingness of it. I remember this being a big movie, not just like box office market big, but like everything felt like it was building to this movie coming out that summer. And maybe it's because I was 14 and that's the right demographic, but it seemed like all of the press around the summer was based on this big Roland Emmerich disaster porn flick. And they just, I don't know if they make the blockbuster the same way, because now we have a blockbuster every week, and you don't have that same kind of build up. I would say Infinity War was probably the closest to it that we've had recently, because you've got, it was Infinity War, you've got all those years of building up to this one big event movie, but they try to give us that feeling every year, and it doesn't work when you get it all the time.
Right.
Uh,
The shiny wears off.
yeah, but everything about this, from the moment the credits start, is big. Like, there's these bombastic crashes as the credits roll on screen over black in this 3D-ified font. It's there to make an impact. It's like Dune. Dune is probably the best recent example of this kind of a big movie, but not nearly as fun. Dune's great. It's just not fun.
Yeah, this one is definitely more on the fun side. I was thinking about the intro and kind of like the use, like it was early in the days of kind of like the THX, like, like deep bass sound flowing through. It's like one of those movies that you really do kind of want a theater like sound. You think about like a Top Gun or something along those lines, where you really want to feel it. And I think it was one of the earlier ones that really seemed to solidify it. I still do it to this day, but this was 96, 30 years ago.
Yeah. We did a little bit of research on this after we finished watching it. The budget for this movie was about $75 million, and it returned a worldwide of $817 million. If we adjust that for inflation, that's about $160 million budget to a $1.7 billion return.
Thanks, Claude.
If we want to put that into some perspective, Infinity War was a $350 million budget with a $2 billion return. So you get a 10-time return on investment on Independence Day, and not near that with the more recent stuff, because we just throw so much money at these. And to take a little history here, Jaws was made for $7 million and earned $490 in 1975, which would be today dollars about $3 billion.
Wow.
With a budget of about $43 million. So somewhere along the way, we seem to have lost the ability to make great things without spending all the money. And I think often we are the worse for it, because the more money a studio has invested in a flick, the more they tinker, and the less you get what the filmmakers want and more what some executive chooch is trying to throw in for market research to protect his investment. And I don't know that you'd get the Independence Day that we got back then today. And in fact, I think we know we can't, because when they made the sequel a couple of years ago, it did.
That recent or a couple years after that?
It was the sequel was in 2016.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, they waited a bit.
Wow.
Okay, but I will also remind you that a spiritual successor appears to be in theaters now, which was Disclosure Day.
Oh, yeah, Spielberg flick. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment on that. On the actual plot of it, I won't read about it until I see it. But this one's Roland Emmerich, and Roland Emmerich is the king of disaster porn. He makes these big, flashy CG, and now they're CG. They used to just be practical effect destruction scenes. They blow up all these buildings in this, and they're not actually blowing up buildings, of course, but they do blow up miniatures. And there's a difference to the way that looks, to the impact that you get from it. When you see shards of plywood flying all over the place that's supposed to be the White House. He just loves to destroy cities, and I love to watch it. So
I have to say, I really do like the practical effects, the miniature work they did there. It's just, it changes the tone of the way they do it these days. And it's nice because you get some actual physics because they really blew it up, like versus somebody has to model those physics, and they're pretty good these days. I mean, the ones who spend lots of money on it, but it was a lot cheaper to make some miniatures, and like,
you'd think.
Which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because of how, I guess, like accessible, and I don't want to say easy, because it's not easy to do computer work or to learn how to model and stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, like there's no teams like building all these things and like rigging pyrotechnics and whatever. It's like, we can just do it on the screen and we'll re-render it. So like it seems like that should be less expensive.
So the upside, I think, is it's more expensive to do the computer modeling, but you can go ahead and re-render it a lot of times, which means you can keep tweaking it versus tweaking an explosion where you have to rebuild a set of models every time gets expensive fast.
Right.
So I think it's cheaper to iterate with CGI, even though it might be cheaper to actually execute one well done shot with.
I think your labor
practical.
pool is wider on computer animation
Oh,
these
that's true.
days.
Yeah.
Trying to find the skilled craftsmen that we used to have to build these models to do this kind of old effects work. They just don't. You don't find them anymore. You don't find the guys who are going to spend the time to make a model that looks like the White House perfectly, just so that they can watch it get destroyed. Like they put real effort into this, and I think it's a thing I've mentioned before in the cast. It's a thing I will always mention. Effort shows in film. You know, Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road. They did a ton of practical effect work in there, and yeah, there's CG to support it, just like there is in Independence Day. There's early 90s CG, mid 90s CG in there, so not all of it looks great, especially in HD now. But layered with the practical effects, it's much more palatable than if it was just a CGI slot fest. The work they did in Fury Road made what was basically a 2-hour car chase into a fantastic movie, because they actually took the time to build and destroy these ridiculous monster truck rigs and do all of this crazy work. And there's something to that. Yeah, the big crazy CGI storm they drive into, not a real thing, but it doesn't matter because that's icing on a cake that's made of real. And that's what you get here. Like, they've got a building exploding and you see that, and then you see CGI flames chasing down people on a street, but then they flip actual cars onto other cars, and so you have the real weight of that. You see the imperfection of a mid-90s box car that could be literally any brand, because every car in this looks the same.
And they're all smashing into each other, and like there's like the cop car and the yellow taxi, and then the next car is brown and it's all the same shape.
They're all the same shape because every car in 1995 was the same shape. Yeah, I definitely noticed that
with the slowest explosions known to man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was
apparently
pretty
you
fun.
can
Slow
outrun
mo
an
on
explosion on
those.
foot. You know, because the physics of explosions work like that. Also, you don't need to close doors, and fire just goes straight.
Just rushes past.
So let's
That's
set that
video
scene
game
up just in
logic right
case
there.
people don't.
So that's video game logic right there.
Yeah.
Let's set this scene up a little bit, because I don't know if everybody's going to remember all the things, and we're kind of moving through a bunch of stuff here rapidly. But so the aliens show up and they park over all these buildings, and at a signal time that Jeff Goldblum is apparently the only one in the world to decipher, because he read a piece of binary code that he printed out in a dot matrix printer. All the things decide to open up their buttholes and launch blue lasers at buildings and make them explode. And
Not
we
just
see all
buildings. Like most of these were landmarks.
Yeah.
Like
Landmarks,
for the
tall
for the
structures,
biggest
yeah.
city, or the biggest for the biggest cities and across the world.
Right, because that's what gets Roland Emmerich off, is watching famous monuments get destroyed.
You know.
But so afterwards, we see all this devastation of people trying to run away from the fire, because there's enough time after this devastating weapon that's going to level the entire city that they can just hop away on foot. And we get to Vivica Fox, who is Will Smith's lady friend, and her son trying to escape from one with their dog, and they're in a tunnel, and they just kick in a door that says maintenance closet or something, and they hide in this little room, and somehow that means that they're perfectly okay, when literally an entire city was destroyed by this explosion. Like, it levels everything, but because the dog made it into the closet, Labrador magic kept that room from being injured. And I think that's really important, and I think that everybody should own a dog.
I
Adopt
like
a
your
pet.
take better, actually.
Yeah.
That works. Yeah. Labrador magic is protection. I mean, I can get behind that. I don't have a dog, but maybe I should get one.
I mean, I guess we didn't do any kind of setup for this movie as to who the characters were. We're skipping story time. I don't know how much we need to skip. Should we run down the major players?
Let's run down the major players and the premise, and maybe we don't have to go scene by scene.
All right. So this one, if you haven't been able to tell, this episode's going to be a little disjointed. We haven't done this in a minute, and
I figured you'd just edit this in post and
fuck
put
that.
it in right.
I'm not shuffling this stuff around like a deck of cards. Ask my mother. I can't shuffle. All right. So character rundowns. What do we got? So the first people that we actually meet. So we've got we do the SETI people, and then we jump to the military people shouting, and we get to Robert Loggia, who's the general,
Right.
who then says, "Wake up the president."
Right.
So the first actor that we meet is Robert Loggia, who is the Secretary of Defense, maybe?
No, I think he's just a general, because I think the Secretary of Defense was that
Was the-
bald asshole who withheld information about the.
Nimziki. guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever the hell his actual title is, he's big military guy, and he discovers that they're hearing noises from the moon, which again was vibrating. All right, I want to go into that for a second. I know we're trying to do people, but I got to talk about the moon and the shaking, because I definitely didn't pick this up as a kid. Of course the moon's shaking. There's a big ship there. There's nothing to shake. It's fucking space, people. I don't care if this thing is 3 miles, a mile, 500 feet. Actually, maybe 500 feet. There'd be something that could come out of that ship to move. Even then, going to be really tough. Nothing to transverse across. There is no medium there to shake the moon unless it is physically touching the moon. And we all just kind of accepted this at the time because they made loud rumbling noises. Like you'd be able to hear that shit in space. Alien told us years before this that in space no one can hear you scream, and yet still made noise in space. We're gonna forgive them for that because Alien's great. Yeah, right away though, first shot, serious physics problem. Okay, so Robert Loggia gets the call that we found alien signals, and he says, "Wake up the president," and we meet Bill Pullman, who is President Whitmore, whose first name is Thomas. President Thomas Whitmore, and his daughter, tiny girl.
She's got a funky name like Petunia or Abigail or something.
Patricia.
That's right.
Patricia, yeah. Who is played by Mae Whitman, who
actually has a hell of a career.
Yeah.
And is kind of awesome. But anyway, she was like 6.
Yeah, very, very small child. But Bill Pullman is the president, and he's not worried about his numbers, but his press secretary, Constance, who is played by another actress who is familiar, but I literally cannot place
Margaret Cullen. They're calling.
Who turns out to be the ex-wife of Jeff Goldblum, who is a genius who works for a TV broadcasting company and is somehow the only one who can decipher this signal that is on every satellite in the world.
We meet him playing chess against his father in the park, actually.
That's right.
Before he even shows up to work to go ahead and deal with this bullshit.
His father, who's Judd Hirsch, the amazing Judd Hirsch, who has somehow been playing the same character in who knows how many movies and TV shows forever. He's great in Numbers. He's really one of the reasons I liked watching Numbers. Him and Mr. Universe from Serenity. He's the main character in Numbers. David Krumholtz, who's also pretty good. The two of them make what would be a fairly boring procedural about a guy who does math into a pretty compelling show because they just have so much character. So Jeff Goldblum's character is David Levinson, and he rides his bike into his office, literally into his office. Who the fuck rides a bicycle around a crowded office full of people that are panicking because their shit's not working?
I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Plague riding a skateboard through the office. But this skateboard is actually much better. The bike is worse because you have to like navigate around shit.
And it's always going to be in the way. You're going to be hitting people and shit. So he bikes past a Fruitopia machine. Remember Fruitopia? Because I had not remembered Fruitopia. And Harvey Firestein yells at him about how everything's broken, and he's Harvey Firestein. He is over the top.
It's basically the same character always.
Yeah. Very raspy voice. So we meet Jeff Goldblum. We meet David, and he's trying to solve the problem of the bad TV signals.
But he's also very clearly ecologically concerned and down on people for smoking and shit like that. Like he's
and throwing away
recycling
tin cans.
He's got his opinions. His politics are on his sleeve. He would be woke if this generation saw him.
It's true. And then we cut to Will Smith.
Will Smith, I think we had seen maybe in a flash where he slept through the aliens arriving because he thought it was an earthquake.
Right. So I think when we meet Will Smith is a pilot. He's an Air Force pilot, Captain Stephen Hiller, and he is on leave because it's the 4th of July weekend, and is maybe one of the least perceptive people on the planet because he does not notice a giant alien spaceship parked directly in his line of sight when he walks out of his house. Like, sure, he's looking at the paper, but it's fucking huge. And everybody else on the street is either staring at it or rapidly
Freaking
packing
out,
their
yeah.
cars to get the hell out. He doesn't notice. Like, he looks across from one side of the room, one side of the landscape to the other. There's no way you don't stop halfway at the giant dark figure that shouldn't be there in your skyline. But
Give the man a break. He just woke up. He hadn't had his coffee yet.
I think some things surpass coffee. Alien invasion is going to trigger all that adrenaline, coffee or no.
I guarantee
You'd be
you.
surprised how non-functional I am for the first 2 hours upon waking.
Yeah, you're giving people a lot more credit, Jeffrey. There are definitely people who would sleep through the apocalypse.
I mean, that would be my preferred way to
To experience the
apocalypse.
That's fair.
Thanks.
Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
Naughty. Hit snooze. Wait, is that what's wrong right now? I just forgot to hit
You
snooze.
forgot to hit snooze. You're awake through the apocalypse. Yeah. We got responsibilities now. We're adulting.
Worst timeline ever.
So other characters of note, we've got Randy Quaid, who plays Russell Case, who is a barely functional alcoholic crop dusting pilot with his 3 children who live in a RV. His daughter, who I don't think has a speaking line, is played by an actress who shows up in things. What was she in again? His daughter is one of the kids from Mrs. Doubtfire and is in Matinee, which is a wonderful, weird 50s sci-fi theater send-up bomb scare stuff with John Goodman from the early 90s that I will probably do in one of these episodes at some point. Matinee is another weird artifact that's kind of been forgotten. And it's a movie about movies, and I got a thing for those. But I recognized her from that, even though I don't remember her name. Lisa Jacob is apparently her name.
She only has a first name in the credits.
Yes.
Apparently her name is Alicia.
She doesn't speak. So, and then his younger son, who I don't even know if we see the actor on this cast list, he has one line about how he's going to throw up. And apparently can't use the RV's bathroom for a reason, so they have to pull the RV over. I thought the whole point of having an RV was so that you had a bathroom with you on the road, but whatever. But they gave all the speaking lines to his oldest son, Miguel, who is possibly the worst thing to come out of the 90s. Like
That's harsh.
his delivery is so fucking bad, and his facial expressions are terrible. And he's like early 90s Keanu Reeves, but on ketamine. Like, let's make this slower and less responsive.
Aw.
And just, Dad.
When was Mallrats filmed?
Mallrats was mid to late 90s.
I'm just thinking Jeremy London might give him a.
Jeremy London was terrible, but he was at least more expressive than this. He had the wrong expressions, but at least he was emoting.
Is that better?
Yes, I would rather have emoting poorly and crossing your arms nonstop than this whiny punk ass who, for some reason, they let into the con while the big events are going down.
I mean,
Mallrats was
my main recognition from him was from Donnie Darko, which not enough people have seen. That would be another fun one to do one day.
Donnie Darko is great, and we'll definitely have to make it into a podcast at some point. It's a real mindfuck of a movie. That one that'll be a fun one to try to summarize in 30 seconds.
I think we would have to do story time on that guy. I don't think
You might.
How do you unravel that, though?
take lots of notes and then I have no idea.
So Randy Quaid and his kids are living somewhere in California. He claims he was abducted by aliens, and that's what spiraled him into drunkenness. I don't think that their mother was ever mentioned. But we also have a very underused Mary McDonnell, who is
the president's wife.
Yes, Mary McDonnell, who people may know from Sneakers, and if not, then wait until I do Hackfest, because Sneakers is going to get used there. And Mary McDonnell's great in that movie, and she's good in this one, and she's barely used, and it's a shame because unlike Miguel, she can act.
Yeah, and Sneakers is a fantastic movie.
It's got Sidney Poitier. Of course, it's a fantastic movie.
And Robert Redford.
Yes, and River Phoenix. Yeah. So I think that's most of our main crew here, the ones we're going to spend the most time with. We've got a few other side players. Oh, we've got Vivica Fox, who is Will Smith's love interest, which is how we got started with this whole thing in the first place. And it's very important that we know that she's a stripper. They go several times into the fact that she's a stripper, and that for some reason that's something that's going to keep him from being in NASA because he's dating a stripper.
Yeah, I
because
can't marry a stripper. Like, why we gotta be shaming a working girl?
And why does it matter who he's married to if he's for NASA? Like,
Right.
oh yeah, you can't go to space because your
Like-
lady friend dances on stage in her underpants.
Yeah, like this is like you said, Johnny. This is pre-social media era. It's not like it's gonna get out anywhere. Like
No.
it's, scandalous photos or something.
And it's also like we see her at work. It's not even like stripping. It's
She's just dancing.
cabaret.
She's a
She's
exotic
dressed.
dancer. Yeah.
I've seen drag queens wearing less than this. Don't ask.
Oh, have you?
Too
Hey,
late.
girl.
I think the only other one we possibly missed is the weasel on the president's council.
Yes,
or whatever.
Zicki,
Yeah.
who is either the Secretary of Defense or
I thought he was the Secretary of Defense.
He might have been Secretary
Yeah,
of
I
Defense.
believe
Yeah.
so.
Who just wants to throw nukes at everything, of course, and keep secrets and generally be the heel. He is a shithead because the plot needs a shithead in everything, and they just gave all that work to one person. And
I could have sworn in my memory somebody punched him at some point, but I don't think I remember that.
no, he doesn't get punched physically, but he does get gut punched when he gets canned by.
I know,
Bill
but he needed a
Pullman,
punch to the nose.
or the penis. Yeah, so that's our character rundown. Now you kind of know who our players are.
The dog.
And the
Magic
dog, yes.
player.
Oh, that is the other important character is Boomer the dog, who lives. Let's just get that out of the way right now. This isn't John Wick. The dog survives all this. The alien destroys probably, the aliens may kill, 80% of the world's population. They've got a bunch of these ships just dropping butthole lasers all over the place, and everybody's getting killed except for the plot characters, and even some of them. But not the dog. This dog survived, and I hope he's not neutered because he's going to have to repopulate the dog
To
population.
be fair, there are almost certainly wild dogs that are nowhere near population centers, so
This is true.
we have to re-domesticate dogs, maybe.
The aliens' plan doesn't fully line up for me. Like they fly in, they've got all this advanced technology. For some reason, they wait until everybody's in position to do the initial strike. I guess that makes sense. Shock and awe, blitz, whatever.
That makes a lot of
But-
sense, though. If people don't know that, a coordinated strike is a good sound tactic.
Sure. But then once they've proven that the military doesn't matter, they still take the time to wipe out the military centers and not move to other population centers
So I hadn't
because
thought about
those
that.
big ships only move so quickly.
So I had a thought about that. And it may not be that they're worried about getting actually stopped, but it may be more along the lines they're worried about things like nukes, which may not hurt them, but will actually damage the resources they're there to claim. So it's sort of like maybe I take care of any chance of them blowing up things I do care about by. Plus, yeah, the other portion of it is the military is in any sufficiently armed conflict type thing. That is where your leadership comes from in general. And so any sort of response would likely come from some amount of that as opposed to anything else. So it's a further way to cripple your enemy. The other thought I had about it too was that we learned that the aliens just keep doing this shit. And so there's possibly the idea they just kind of have the same playbook no matter the technology of their opponents. So it's sort of like, hey, we come in, we do a reasonably strong tactical attack, and then we pretty much just win and we're done.
So here's the thing on that again breaks the satellite discovery bit. If you do this all the time, if this is your playbook, you don't need to borrow the equipment that's in place around the planet. You're going to dispatch your own satellites to communicate if you need to do that. But also, if you're flying through space with your entire civilization, you've got a way to handle radiation because there's a shitload of that in space. And if you can't handle radiation, you're cooked.
It's different though, as far as handling it in space, but versus having it, corrupt your resources kind of thing. That said, I think we did like the call out of the satellites being unnecessary. That was a MacGuffin. As you think about it, it is 100% a MacGuffin because they could have done a coordinated strike by having a fucking stopwatch. There's nothing else to that. They don't actually need to run a signal. That one was more or less.
To wait for Jeff Goldblum to tell
Exactly.
the president 10 minutes before he's about to explode. He's about to explode. they take the time to get all the way to Washington, D.C., and just to tell them that there's only 30 minutes left. They spend all this time once they're there, not just immediately saying, let's get the fuck out of here because this timer is going to go off. So Jeff Goldblum and Ted Hirsch drive all the way from New York to D.C. to warn the president and his ex-wife about this signal that means the aliens are going to attack, because apparently he can decipher that because there's a countdown, and not that's when we're going to give everybody free puppies. He knows that this is an attack because he's seen movies. And
because he plays chess, Jeffrey, and this is how you do it in chess.
I mean, he works for a TV station. He's seen movies. He knows how this ends.
I mean, he didn't know the aliens were there until, he came out of his closet dealing with the signal.
This is true. He didn't look at the TV. But so they make it all the way down there. They go through the traffic. But all the while, he knows when this signal's ending. And by the time they show it to the president, there are 30 minutes left. And by the time they're actually evacuating, there are seconds left. Like, they are taking off as the city is being destroyed. And they're all like, oh, well, if only we'd evacuated sooner. Well, maybe you could have evacuated sooner if instead of just trying to talk to his wife, Jeff Goldblum decided to call literally anybody else that might be able to process this information and pass it on. Hey, I found a signal hidden in the satellites. It means the aliens are going to attack me.
Yeah, okay.
3 hours. Let's do something.
But to be like, okay. But say you discovered a pattern, right? Very important. You can't just call up the White House. Like, you can't just call a hotline and get through. So I think
there are places you can call. You can call the FBI. You can call. There's somebody else.
Yeah, but it's going to take them so long to filter through
he had
that,
6
or they're
hours.
not.
I'm not saying you
they're
stop
not
there. You
going
don't make
to
the call and leave it
answer.
alone. But you give the information to somebody and then you keep going.
Right. Or they're not going to answer. So he's like, I have a person that is in the White House with the president at this moment,
but won't talk to me.
But he got her to talk to him, so it was important.
Somehow by waving to her from outside a fence.
He got her to talk to him
By
by driving
like,
6 hours, standing outside her window and calling her on her fucking 90s cell phone.
But this also needs to be pointed out. When he talks to her, he doesn't say we need to tell the president. She does. He says we need to go now. He only went there to save his ex-wife. He wasn't calling her to say, oh, there's this signal, you have to tell the president and save people. He's calling her to say, you have to get out of DC right away because otherwise you're going to die. And she doesn't take that as a warning herself. She ignores it because it's coming from him and she thinks it's the same old fight, which he could have phrased that initial call with, I found a signal, you need to tell people about this. Instead, you need to leave Washington, D.C. right now.
Oh, yeah,
and she says, we're not going to have this same old fight again, and hangs up on him. His purpose here wasn't to try to save everybody. He was just thinking about the one person. Because he's.
That's fair.
And she has to argue with him to tell the president that.
Tell him what you found, yeah.
Yeah. And at that point, there's only 30 minutes left. If he had not been a selfish dick in the first place, and had just been like, hey, I found something important. This shit's going down. Maybe you should talk to your boss. They would have had, 6-7 hours or more time to try to evacuate cities or do literally anything else. I think a lot of the blame for what happened here is on David. I'm putting it there.
Damn.
See something, man. Think with the big brain.
I mean, you think about this. His original plan was to get her to leave with him. And you realize that in that time, they needed to go ahead and get at least, how far do you think they would have had to go to be safe from that blast? So, if he hadn't managed to get his ass onto Air Force One, he would have died in that blast too.
They all would have been dead.
Yeah.
It was the kind of thing where, he could have theoretically called her if she said something, they could have left, and then he could have gone the other direction or something,
Right.
you know?
He could have made it halfway to Montana. There's nothing in Montana. The aliens are going to hit Montana last. Maybe blow up Bozeman? Come on.
As I say, there's some guys over there who make really nice backpacks.
Oh.
This is big sky country. You got room to park all those alien spaceships up there.
It's been a long time since I've seen this, and the 90s technology, whew, man, it's been a while. It's been a while.
But you mean when they pull open that secret locked case that's really just a picture that they'd shown earlier with a light box behind it?
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
In a box with a 10 key next to it? Like it's supposed to be some kind of high-tech radar display?
Were you calling out the alien screen where it was like a touchscreen CRT?
Yes. Yes. Somehow these aliens who are advanced enough to fly through space only have, early 90s relevant basic 3D rendering on their screens. And
I mean, I was even going with the stuff as simple as like everybody's got a landline,
oh yeah,
including Air Force One, which is contradictory. But like at the same time, everybody has like a corded
Landline.
phone.
corded phone and not a landline in Air Force One.
Yes.
That's
It's a
an important
corded phone,
distinction.
yeah.
But it is, or like, you see, Goldblum playing chess with his dad in the park. He's got a fucking pager.
Let's have a pager. But technology's cyclical. They're coming back.
Hmm.
That's a 30 Rock joke. It is.
Nice.
I believe you. I haven't seen all of 30 Rock.
I did like that show.
Yeah. The tech is jarring. The pager is funny. The fact that a few people do have cell phones, but don't utilize them to any useful effect. Like, David waits until he's at the White House before he calls her again and tries to get her to talk to him, which again is hours later. Driving from New York to DC at the best of times is going to take some time. And this is in traffic jams as everybody's trying to get the hell out of cities. Yeah.
It is.
Also,
I mean, that's part of like the 90s, like in movies, they didn't know how to use cell phones anyway. Like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I just mean like you think about it for a period of time, people didn't realize that cell phones meant so many of these problems disappear with cell phones. Like, it's like, oh, I can't get a hold of anyone. This is like, bro, you got a cell phone. They got a cell phone. Everybody's got a fucking cell phone. Now, to be fair, 90s, everybody didn't have a cell phone. But like it was a learning curve for writers, I think, to go ahead and figure out problems that cell phones couldn't solve.
Pivot point was Scream, with Billy having a cellular telephone being he could be the killer point, because what kind of teenager has a cellular telephone? Well, give it a year, bro, because every teenager's got a cellular telephone.
I will.
You were going to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say the satellite signals were jacking up their cell phones, anyways. They
Yep,
could have
you'd
used
think, yeah.
that to the point. So
I
But they
feel like
weren't,
that
because
was
they were still making clear cellular calls.
yeah.
You'd think they would fuck up the cell signals.
apparently it was just TV satellites they took over.
Yes.
And not that one that they crashed the ship into.
Yeah,
They
I was
crashed
thinking about
into
that
the
too.
ship. I don't think the ship was coming for it.
It did. It targeted that one little it's like using a bus to kill a fly.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Just
thinking about that too.
massive
In the
shit.
beginning, like the satellite crashes in and you're like, oh, okay, satellites are going to go ahead and quickly just run into this thing because they are in orbits that run into shit every so many hours. And there was a case where like, that didn't come up again.
I mean, that had to have been an exploratory satellite, because if they were in Leo with that mothership, we'd be able to see it. The size that thing was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They said it had half the mass of the moon, or a quarter the size of the moon.
Quarter the size of the moon, yeah.
A quarter the size of the moon. If it's parked closer than the moon, you can see
it.
that with the naked eye.
As long as it's getting light.
Yeah.
Depends on like if it's in the dark side of the moon kind of thing, or like in our shadow.
It
Then
was closer than the moon at that point. So
it's more about where the light comes. Remember, you have to get the light from
Sure.
the sun in order to see it. If it's hiding behind the earth, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
I know.
it's just it got close enough for one satellite to hit. It wasn't in low Earth orbit there. That
No, it
would have
wasn't.
been too close.
Yeah, the gravity would have been a problem at that point.
I mean, look, Roland Emmerich isn't a physicist. He's not an astronomer. He's not an astrologer. He makes movies where things get destroyed, and he does a good job with it. Like, he destroys all sorts of stuff in 2012. He destroys the whole damn planet. And Day After Tomorrow, he freezes New York, and that's another one with a lot of people walking from DC to New York. I think.
Yeah.
He's got a thing for messing up the East Coast and just landmarks in general. Day After Tomorrow, he has freezing storms that seem to hit like the Eiffel Tower and other various tall structures that are recognizable, like in order, because it's more fun to destroy things that we recognize. John made an important discovery while we were listening to some of the music from this, that it sounds quite a bit like another Roland Emmerich film, Stargate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
it-
definitely got a few very much Stargate like moments in there. It's like I've definitely heard the same thing in Stargate. And
They share a composer. Yeah, so composer David Arnold worked for Roland Emmerich on Stargate in 94, 95, and then again in Independence Day, and again in Godzilla,
Nice.
and ended up having a ton of credits, but this was towards the beginning of his career. And it does sound like maybe some of the Stargate tracks were reused.
I mean, I actually liked that cloud like kind of approaching cloud effect. I thought that was
cool.
really cool.
It kept the mystery of the ships alive for a bit longer.
And it looked fucking cool.
It looked great. Didn't look like the cheesy CGI missiles they used later.
I wonder how they did that one.
Yeah, it probably wasn't practical. I don't think they actually brought a city-sized spaceship into the atmosphere.
You don't think so? Come on,
That
Jeff.
might have scared a few people and probably would have made the news.
Come on.
Also, if they can accomplish
Slacker.
mega construction like that for a film, what the fuck are we still doing here? Yeah. Yeah, we built this Dyson sphere for this movie that we're making, but we just blew it up at the end. And
Oh, yeah.
you guys don't need mega structures. It's cool.
I mean, I was reminded that they didn't have social media in the 90s and how nice that was. So
I'm telling you, it was a better era.
Everybody's trying to figure out what's going on by reading the newspaper, which is funny in itself,
Yeah.
and then watching
Watching the TV. Yeah.
Whereas now we just all go to whatever .ru website is promoting the new liberal aliens that are coming to destroy your city, and only Donald Trump can save you.
Maybe this was Republican aliens because they were all targeting like big
They
liberal
were
cities.
targeting liberal. They were targeting the liberal elite. Yeah, and of course we're saved by the drunken
Like,
redneck pilot who crashes into the butthole laser.
So there are two other things that I have on my list. One, until this watching, I did not realize that Oaken was Data.
oh yeah.
Yes, talk about
And-
Oaken.
Like, so yeah, Professor or Dr. Oaken was the guy who is researching it was in Area 51 who's researching this for God knows how long. And I actually appreciated his costume design. Like, one, I didn't know it was Data. And like, so they did a good enough job to go ahead and make him a very different character with the long hair and like the loose tie, a little bit of disheveled, scientist look, So that was a fun discovery for me.
Now,
Thank you,
for-
Jeffrey.
For the Zoomers and the Alphas, Data was an android character from the Star Trek: The Next Generation television show. You should probably watch that.
He's he's a thing. And
He
he's
is.
great. Like, he's great in Star Trek The Next Generation, and he was great in this. And it was definitely the kind of thing where like anyway, so that was that. I don't know how I'd never noticed it before.
Oh yeah, I mean, before even noticing him by facial recognition, it's the voice. I just hear him as Data. He can't change the tone of his voice, and even though he's much more excited,
Yeah, like
there's
more
bits and
animated.
pieces from like the Star Trek movies where like you got the emotion chip and you get some of that same inflection going on there. But he is properly nerdy down in that basement. He's sheltered from the world. He's mostly just excited that all these things are happening to his research, which has probably been his entire life as he's been sequestered underground at this site that
Area
doesn't
51,
exist.
Yeah.
That apparently only the Weasel guy from the White House knew about because reasons like he didn't want to share and he just wanted us to throw
Two
nukes.
words, Jeffrey. Plausible deniability.
Implausible deniability once the aliens show up. It is no longer plausible that this piece of shit is not sharing what he knows.
It does feel like the
He
second
did
aliens
share
show up.
after
He only shared when Judd Hirsch called him out on by spouting conspiracy theories. He waited until after the
Okay.
cities had been destroyed.
I mean, I have to feel like there's a portion of that he's just a moron because it never came up in his brain that he could this could be relevant for everyone to know about.
Now, to be fair, he does work in politics.
The other thing that I think we discussed while the movie was rolling was, so one of the MacGuffins in there is that they're going to go ahead and give the mothership a computer virus that's going to disable the shields of all of the ships so they'll have a chance to beat them.
Yes, let's talk computer science for a moment.
And so it was not necessarily so much the computer science as it's alien tech. And there's like, for those of us who are in the biz, so to speak, how the fuck is that going to work? I can't figure out how to go ahead and talk to some software I don't know, generally speaking.
And that was written by humans.
Yes. And so like if it doesn't speak like HTTP or a few other things, like I got nothing, bro. And so I have no idea how they like expected to go ahead and reverse engineer the protocol, the communication, and the systems of how this is going to work. in like less than 24 hours, mind
When they
you.
get up there and they just like park next to it, and like, does he even running stuff off of his computer?
Yeah, he's running
Like he
stuff
has
off his MacBook.
like the aliens have Wi-Fi connection and he can just tap into.
I mean, it could have been a hard line. Almost certainly those aliens had Wi-Fi connection. Let's be real.
Okay,
They had
Yeah.
wireless
Civilization
power,
is
it's telekinetic. Yeah.
and they had wireless power.
But what I'm saying, I get that, but like what I'm saying is like he can't just roll up there
You
and
know,
like
he doesn't have the
connect to
password.
that. Like,
Look, he was running early Mac OS, so it was just really capable as an operating system. And I don't know where they got a clip of the code to begin with to decipher what the hell he's trying to work with. The root is that people didn't understand what computers were or how they worked in the 90s because all they really had was AOL and like Word documents and MS Paint.
When did Hackers
And-
come out?
Probably around the same time, and the hackers did not understand how computers worked.
No, it did not.
In a very fun way. Also,
It was
So
a movie
fun.
about hacking, and it had no idea how the fuck it worked. It's great.
also to be featured in Hackfest.
Oh god, I love that movie. It's so bad.
along that same lines, we were laughing about the helicopters with the light panels on them.
Right.
We're like, what are you gonna do? Like, you don't blink the same language. You're gonna get up there and fucking have a dance party.
What were
Like,
you expecting to happen, friends? Like,
Let's
what,
set this
what
up
was
a
going to
little
be the answer to that
they're
light
trying-
array
They're trying
blinking?
to communicate with the aliens, so they rig these helicopters up with these just stadium light panels on the sides of them and fly up in front of it and flash their lights in random patterns.
In hopes that they would
Like-
give all the aliens epileptic fits
Right.
and they'd just go home.
Like, okay.
What are you going to say to them with a pattern of flashing lights? What are you talking about here? This isn't another Spielberg film. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where they start off playing the tones, and they respond with tones, which that itself was a little bit, how the fuck do they know what to play back? But they ended up making a very cool cinematic sequence out of it. This is real dumb and just a way to get some close-ups of their cool alien spaceship miniature and then blow up a helicopter.
Helicopters, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very confusing.
What's your conversation going to be like? Even if you do get them to respond.
You're just standing there, then you're just standing there flashing each other.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, that'd be better communication, standing there flashing
there
each
you
other.
go.
You get to see some alien anatomy. And
Oh my god. Yeah, perv.
ends up a little bit more Mars attacks, I think, than
I mean, it definitely is one of those things. And I did check. Hackers is 1995.
Oh, so right before.
I mean, this is all that mid '90s.
It
We don't
was.
know what
It
computers
was.
are.
And so clearly nobody had any idea what the fuck was going on with any computers. Though, I mean, there are definitely some parts where like you have to go ahead and think like, hey, if I put myself in the shoes of the people making these decisions, what the fuck do I think is going to happen? Like, what is my, like, I don't know, maybe I'm extra weird, but like, I tend to occasionally, when I think about things, that, like, I make a plan, it comes with, and this is what I expect to happen. But you look at some of
Maybe you
these.
are extra weird because you're making a plan and expecting things to happen.
I mean, well, it's like when I make a plan. I don't always make a plan. Sometimes I just do shit. I get that. But like, this is one of those where like you probably, somebody had to think about this and make a plan. What did they expect was gonna happen? Like, what was the outcome they thought was even likely or desirable?
Yeah, this isn't like, all right. So we've got Arrival, right? This wonderful movie with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner
Oh, that was bad.
about trying to discover alien language, and they bring in a linguistic specialist, and it's very much a journey into what learning this alien language does to her mind. It's Denis Villeneuve who did Dune. Really good movie, showing the difficulties and complexities of trying to communicate with alien life in a responsible way, as well as handling how people would respond to alien arrival in ways that aren't just boom, explosion, let's flash lights at them.
Right.
And granted, that was 25 years after this movie came out, but to just think, yeah, you know, I think I know how we communicate with them. We're going to send up flashing lights. You know what? Let's do one better. We're going to send them an etch sketch. We're just going to hand them an etch a sketch. We'll figure this out with etch a sketch.
Does Google Translate work for aliens?
Maybe now.
Google wasn't a thing.
They didn't have Google back then.
There's yet to be Google. And that's the bigger problem. They couldn't even search, how do I talk to aliens? Like, you're going to Netscape.
There
I mean,
there
I was
no
trying to channel my
Claude
best,
help
like, you
make
know,
a plan.
Mean Girls moment of like, yeah, maybe Google Translate works. Like, but this wasn't even Mean Girls level. Like, it was just kind of like, no, man, there's no world in where you have like an outcome that actually works for you.
Yeah. I think at best you can hope that you're going to piss the aliens off, which is probably not what you should be trying to do.
No.
And at worst, they are going to destroy your helicopter and then nuke all of your cities.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of those
yeah.
things happened.
That's what we chose at worst.
Yeah. So all the things happen. We got Hiller and Levinson flying up with their super alien virus and a nuclear weapon, which is apparently all they really needed, because after you blow up the mothership, they're all kind of doomed anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have opened with that one. But then they discover that they can take down the aliens by flying airplanes or missiles into their butthole lasers, and then they just blow up in chain reactions and crash all over the world, again behind monuments mostly, because it's a cool shot to have a flaming wrecked spaceship behind the pyramids of Giza. Yeah. And the day is saved, and everybody's smoking cigars, and Jeff Goldblum's walking away from his crashed alien ship with just the most swagger. He is this nerdy MIT guy, and suddenly he's strutting, and it's kind of fantastic.
Suddenly he's turned into Jeff Goldblum.
Sorta, yeah. Suddenly he's stripped open on a table again, just posing for daddy. Just Jeff Goldblum it up. We could talk for a minute about the very rapid relationship between Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith.
Sure.
Who speak maybe 2 sentences to each other before Goldblum and his ex are witnessing Will Smith's wedding to Vivica Fox before the suicide mission.
You know what? Look, law says you have to have 2 witnesses. It doesn't really matter at that point who they are. It doesn't have to be anyone you know.
But does the law even matter when aliens are coming?
No, but does getting married matter when aliens are coming? So
Maybe just in their brains? You tell me, you're the married one.
You're the one that married us. So yeah, this was one of Will Smith's earlier films as an action star. I think we looked it up while we were watching, and the previous one before this was Bad Boys. This is before Men in Black. It was before Wild Wild West. Thank you, Heidi. And many of his other ones. But this is basically on his kind of upswing of his career, where he was really starting to hit his stride.
Right. He'd done Fresh Prince. He'd done the rap game and the TV show and a couple of other stints on TV, but he hadn't broken into movies yet. The Fresh Prince series was 1990 to 1996, so this was really the end of his TV run and the beginning of his movie star era. And it was pretty rapid fire from there. Bad Boys was 95. This was 96. Men in Black was 97. Enemy of the State was 98. It was just big movie after big movie. Wild Wild West, which was not a good movie, but I will probably end up talking about it one of these. It's so weird and so dumb.
I like the
and
spider.
Ali in 2001, Bagger Vance in 2000. Like, he just had a big movie every year.
What's the last thing he was in? Oh, it could be Aladdin.
The last thing he was in
I remember him in.
was Bad Boys Ride or Die in 24.
I did like him in some of his stuff. He definitely had a really good run. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Hitch.
Hitch. That's not just what happens every time Chris Rock hears his name now. Hitch. You don't get to slap somebody in the middle of the goddamn Oscars and not have everybody talk about it every time you're mentioned for the rest of time. Yeah. What an unhinged fucking response.
No, that is...
He is obviously a professional. He has been doing this for a long time. I'm sure there was shit going on, but that's just not what you do. I mean, by comparison, Goldblum has been doing this since 1974. And by 96, he had already been in a ton of stuff. The Fly was before this. Transylvania 65000 was before this. Vibes, Earth Girls Are Easy. I mean, he had a whole thing in the 80s. So he was the bigger player. Jurassic Park was in 1993, just a couple of years before Independence Day. Goldblum was probably the bigger draw on that marquee. And I don't know that after this 3 or 4 year run of Will Smith movies, that could be said the same way. I think that Will Smith's career just exploded very rapidly. And Goldblum continued to be great, but was super weird and had a stretch of just strange stuff before really, I think, leaning into the being strange. And some of his recent stuff has been pretty fun. His appearance in Thor Ragnarok is great. And his weird short-lived TV show on was it Disney Plus?
Oh
Where
yeah.
Jeff Goldblum explains everything.
Right.
That was great. It's just him nerding out on stuff.
I love that. We need a
Never saw it.
for the ages.
Yeah, he like picks a topic and just digs into it. Be it, sneakers or grills, not barbecues, but the shit you put in your face. He did that great stretch on the League. His cameos as Ruxin's dad.
He was great in those.
He was great in the League. Like, old Goldblum's just got this vibe to him. He's pretty solid. Got respect for Goldblum. And
I was looking at what Bill Pullman has been doing because I'm actually a big Pullman fan. Like, you got Spaceballs, you've got this, you've got Zero Effect, which not enough people I think have seen because I fucking adore that movie. Like
While You Were Sleeping.
Like he's got a number of like pretty good movies, and I don't see a whole lot of him doing anything these days, but I very much enjoy Bill Pullman.
Is he not on the cast list for Spaceballs too?
I hope so. It feels like it would be a shame not to be. Oh yeah, he's on the Spaceballs, the new one. He's on the cast list.
That's what it's called, the new one.
Yes.
That's cute.
So not until next year, but that one we might have to go ahead and go to the theaters and then come home and record for, because I love me some Spaceballs.
It's a hell of a thing. Mel Brooks, he's got a special place in my heart. And fact is, he can't make his movies the same way anymore. I don't know what they're going to do with this one.
I hope they just let him do his thing, because the world could use more of that.
It's truth. Just, I don't know what he's going to do with Blazing Saddles too. So how do we want to wrap this one out?
Well, it's not as bad as most of what we watch. I mean, some of the things we watch are good. Don't get me wrong. It's sort of like we have a niche for good and unknown, bad and unknown. And this is a summer blockbuster from 30 years ago. So it's kind of a different theme for us in a lot of ways than what we normally do. It's still fun because it's 30 years old and because we're all old enough to have seen it when we were like in the right time versus, anything else. Oh, it's kind of a different tonal thing for us.
What's your final thoughts here?
No, I was just thinking, like you said, it's the 30-year anniversary. It's our 250th anniversary. It just felt like, in a time where I don't really feel like I want to be patriotic, it felt like a nice like throwback to when, the vibes really were like, Murika, fuck yeah, So
Yeah,
and the best president. Better president.
This is it's a fun movie. It's not smart. It's full of logical inconsistencies like most of these big blockbuster explosion movies are.
And fabulous one-liners from Will Smith.
Sure. It moves pretty quickly throughout. Most of the effects hold up. There's some CG that does not look great in 4K, but otherwise it's still just a good time. And we're expanding the format here this year, so getting away from doing all horror all the time, which spares you guys a little bit of the misery I had planned for you. But we'll get back to some of that. There's still some really horrible things I'd like to show you.
Great, I can't wait.
I'm like the chick without eyes in Event Horizon. Yeah, so fun movie from the 90s. It's fun to go back to if you want a simpler time when our enemies were actual aliens and not perceived ones. And
Dig. But appropriate.
And so if you're looking to spice things up this holiday, go back to when movies were just dumb, fun, and huge. Turn the volume up and let some alien butthole lasers blow you away.
Ew.
Don't know when we'll do another one of these long form episodes. We're going to try to throw a few more of these at you while I continue to do my ridiculous
Mini fests.
festive fests. Yes, feast of fests, as I'm calling it.
Love it.
But thanks for listening. And if you have comments or you want to talk about how you would kill the aliens, send us an email at octoberfestcast@gmail.com or hit us at octoberfest.substack.com. And until next time, so until next time, just remember, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. Today, we celebrate our Oktoberfest podcast.
Woo! I love it. That was pretty good.
Well done.
Yeah.